JD here, and as you can see, we are back with some league racing action. This time for GASR at Australia. I actually didn't take part in the last race at Qatar. I was actually away on holiday, so I've missed a round of this season, and yeah, it was a nice break. Sometimes I think it's a good thing to have a bit of a disconnect from the game. I didn't really do any practice before I left on holiday for Australia. I actually arrived back on the Sunday, the day of this race, and typically I like to practice a couple of days in advance just to get used to the track, to get a setup on board that I know I'm going to be using for the race. That's why I like to normally prepare, but practice went really well. I was actually quite surprised how quick they got on pace around here, and you'll see for this Q1, we were on the pace straight away. So Q1 here, full qualifying, and it's a 15.5.
Pretty steady lap as well, so
as you hear me say there, on a pretty steady lap, not really taking too many risks, and you can see we're less than a tenth away from the fastest in Q1. As we go through into Q2 now, you will see this is the first lap we did on the board. This is with a used set of tyres, so we only had to use one set through the Q1. This is the same set of tyre, and it's a 15.8.
and as we were doing that
new
lap,
sets of tyres around here actually make a pretty significant difference. This lap I did was the first lap on the new set of tyre for the Q2, and you see you gain quite a lot of time in the last sector. That's where the tyres you benefit the most. But as we go through the last corner, someone has had a bit of an incident going through this last corner, and you will see we have to avoid that, almost crashing into him, and that has cost me a significant amount of time, which you can see we've done a 15.7 there. That's not going to be enough to get through to Q3, so now we have to use another set of fresh tyres, which means for Q3, if we get through into it, we're only going to have one set of the fresh tyres, which definitely is not optimal. So you can see we gained a lot of time for this last corner. Again, a fairly cautious lap. It's a 15.4, almost a 3.
not a great lap. Had to be
more
a bit
than enough
cautious,
to get
but
into the
we'll take
Q3.
it.
The issue now is my first lap in the Q3 was set on the used tyre. There is a big difference, and ideally you want to have two fresh set of softs for the Q3 because they're going to feel the same. There's such a big difference between the used and the new tyre. You have to drive it very differently. So this is my final lap now on the fresh set of tyres, and yeah, this lap here you can see we just didn't commit. Actually hit the apex really early there because I used a used set of tyres. I just wasn't used to the grip, and in reality I just didn't commit on this lap. My PB, believe it or not, was a 14.8, and I did quite a few 14s in the practice before this. 15.0, a 15.1 was actually a bad lap for me in a final lap in qualifying. So you will see here, the lines look good, but we aren't committing with the speed. There was a lot of corners here where I just wasn't committing with the momentum, and if you don't commit the momentum around here, it's going to really punish you in terms of lap time. And yeah, again, this is our last opportunity with these set of fresh tyres. I just wasn't committing the way I should be, and you can see we're only half a second up. Go get a little bit of time for this last corner, but we should be gaining about at least 8 tenths with this fresh set of tyres, and this is a 15.4. I found some quicker than what I did in Q2.
Keeping good.
That is not good enough. That put me P9 in Q3.
Yeah, thank you for everyone watching.
And yeah, my
Good luck to everyone
Q1
else.
lap was a 15.5, so we should have been going a lot faster than that. So now we've got 5 lights, and we've got some work to do in this race. So starting P9, someone has had a jump start. So Pascal has really jumped the gun there. So that's not good for him. So we're going to go around the outside, try and get past him as much as possible. So we're back into 8th place now. And yeah, despite starting down much lower than I was really hoping for, I was quite optimistic for the race. My straight line speed was very, very good. In the qualifying, if you watch the live stream, you might notice my Sector 2, I was very fast in that Sector 2. That's because I was actually running very low winds. And even in the qualifying, as I said, my PB was a 14.8. I think pole ended up being a 0, maybe even a 1. If I did a good lap in qualifying, I believe we really should have been on pole. So you can see I'm using all my ERS here because I know that I'm very fast in this sector. So I'm going to keep pushing. And I knew the setup I had on here was a setup that was definitely going to allow me to overtake in the race. So I was very eager to get a good result here. I need a good result for the championship, as you saw from the standings at the start of this video. We've had quite a few inconsistent races. I've had, I think, 2 races now where I haven't had any points, where just through driver error. Now we've missed a race as well. So we cannot afford to be inconsistent and making kind of clumsy mistakes here. We've got a side-by-side Ferrari, so this is actually really good bit of respectful racing. This is actually the championship leader, Suzuka, the way he likes to be pronounced. He's actually the championship leader, so we need to finish ahead of him. We also need to finish ahead of Batful. You can see Carl_24 has actually come back into a full-time seat, and he isn't actually too far behind as a virtual safety car comes out. So now this is actually a really big opportunity, because with a virtual safety car, if you pit, you lose nowhere near as much time. So myself and Carl, I think, are the only 2 drivers who pit. Everyone else continues. I think the leaders were already past the last corner, so they couldn't pit. And this is actually a huge opportunity, because since the cars are going so much slower under a virtual safety car, you don't lose anywhere near as much time in the pits. So I felt like this was actually a good decision. The only downside is that we are going to have to try and make these cars last to end the race, which they will do. But when people pit later on much fresher hard tyre, they will actually have a pretty big delta between us. So we've got to try and maximise this time as much as possible. So from now until the leaders pit, we've got to try and make as much inroads as possible, because the hard tyre is actually a very good tyre. The mediums, they actually go off very, very quickly around here. So yeah, myself and Carl, we ended up just working together in this first stint here, and we've just got to try and gain and not lose as much time as possible. You can see the leaders are going through into the turn 4 here, and you'll see as we go through into here, do a little bit of a wiggle, sign of respect, and I think myself and Carl knew that we just had to work together at this point. So coming through the last corner, you can see I'm really pushing, so whoever's ahead of myself and Carl, we push, and then we take over, let that guy push, vice versa. So that's an 18.2 on lap 8. That's some very, very fast pace. So we were driving really well. You can see we're actually starting to close in the leaders quite quickly, and the championship leader has pitted. So he's pitted really early, and you're about to see, look how far behind he comes out. That just shows how much we have actually benefited under this virtual safety car. Look how far he is behind. So he's got to try and close in that gap. So this is working out for us really, really nicely. But again, it isn't over, because the delta is actually quite strong between the freshness of tyres here. So you can see, I think Batful has now decided to pit along with Schumacher, and you're about to see how far behind they come out. And it wasn't actually as big as I was expecting. I was expecting it to be a little bit bigger, but as you come out of, they come out of the pits now, the gap is about 8 seconds, so 7.9 seconds. Skip on a couple of laps, the gap is now 6.2 seconds, so they've actually closed in quite a bit. So it wasn't really working out to us as a safety car has now come out, and you would think that would be a lifeline. The issue is, if we stay out, we're going to be a much older Haas than the guys behind. The guys behind us on pretty much new hard tyres. We have to pit for mediums, but the problem is the mediums, they just go off so quickly. Within 5 to 6 laps, they go off, and then the hard tyres are quicker tyres. So after 5 to 6 laps, even though these are fresh mediums, a couple of that fresher tyres than the guys behind, they are not going to be the fastest tyre at the end of a race. And now we needed the safety car to be coming out later, maybe another 4 laps time. This would have really worked in my favour. But you can see Carl, who was ahead of me, he actually pitted and then pitted again, because he knew the mediums weren't going to be good. So he's trying to get as fresh mediums as he possibly could. So we're in 6th place. Everyone ahead of me is on the hard tyres. They pitted around lap 10, lap 11. And again, you think in this position, I would be in the pound seat with these fresh mediums. The thing is, after 3 to 4 laps, these mediums, they just fade away. And they are definitely going to be the fastest tyre. The hard tyres, the guys ahead of me, they're going to have the fastest tyre by some margin by the end of this race. So I knew at this point, if I have any chance of winning this race or even getting a podium, I need to be making up positions here right now. And you can see we're using this straight line speed to my advantage. And if you want access to these setups, hit the join button. I load all my League Racing setups after the race, so usually the day after the race. So if you're wanting setups or you're in need of setups, that's a very good place to go. You can see we do a good overtake there on K-Style, up into 5th place now. These guys up ahead are fighting side by side, so we go try and go around the outside here. Definitely needs to go work there. You can see we've almost got a full load of the battery. And again, at this stage, my tyres will be faster than the guys up ahead of me. And in this section here, we're going to be using a straight line speed, so I knew I was extremely fast in a straight line here. And you'll see here, so there's no gap at the moment, but then as this captain guy moves out of the way, then we go down the inside, so you have to kind of wait for the last minute. So there is an opportunity to overtake there. It's very, very sketchy around this track. It's quite a difficult track, quite a chaotic track to actually make some overtakes. So now we're up into P4, so we are still making these tyres work, and I think one of the strengths of my driving is I actually can manage the tyres quite well, so I can make them last longer than they normally would. You can see we get some really good momentum after chicane. So again, I know I have to make up these positions as quick as I possibly can. So go around the outside of the Red Bull here. He leaves me some room. Get this move done. We get slightly better traction, and now we're up into third place, right behind Batful, who's one of my main championship rivals. I think the Ferrari Suzuki is having a bit of a mare at the moment, and he's way back at the moment. So this is really good for the championship, but I need to be outscoring people like Batful. So right here now, we're on lap 21, and the tyres still felt good, but I knew this would be the point where the crossover would happen and the hard tyres would really start to take over. So I knew that I had to try and get myself ahead of Batful. And you can see he defends the line here, so quite a natural line he's taking. Something to remember moving forward in a couple of laps' time. And I knew right here I just need to be in second place. My goal right now is just to try and be in second place, use the DRS from the car ahead to defend from the car behind, stay in second until the last lap, and then try and get into the lead and win the race. So that's really what was going through my mind at this stage. You can see Schumacher right behind Batful here. Don't know if he's going to go for the overtake, so you can see he's saving the battery. So this is a pretty pivotal lap in this race. So if you're watching the live stream, you will know this is going to be quite dramatic here, and yeah, let's get into it. So going for this first sector, just chilling out behind the top two, and at this stage I could start to feel my tyres were slowly but surely starting to fall away. I think at this stage they're probably quite even between the two tyres, but from lap 24 onwards I was pretty confident the hard tyres are going to be the faster tyres. So right here I wasn't using any of the battery because I thought I would be able to overtake Batful and without using the battery, or I was actually pretty content in still staying in first place. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on this incident that you're about to see here. I'll be giving you my opinion at the end. So coming over into here, this middle straight, Schumacher's right behind. He goes to the right, and then you can see there is actually a gap. I actually did an overtake earlier on someone going for this gap here. So I thought Batful was going to hold the sign. I was going to try and go down the inside because I had so much speed, and the gap is closed. I moved to the right to avoid it. I hit Schumacher. And yeah, that is the race over, pretty much. And we don't just have damage, I think our whole front wing has come off there. So we're going to go back, have a little look at this again, and yeah, I'm still pretty gutted about this. I was devastated, honestly, when this happened. So coming into here, I don't think I was even planning to overtake here. So you can see I'm not even using my battery. But as we come through into here, see Schumacher moves to the right, and yeah, this is done in real time. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. So this is the POV of Batful. So I think from my POV, I even said after the race, I felt like it was my fault. I felt like, you know, it's something I could have maybe avoided myself. But if you watch Batful's point of view here, you'll see, yeah, this is something we discussed a little bit in the studios afterwards. So if you really slow it down and go again, I think the only issue I really have is there was a gap to Batful's left. And then once he sees me in his mirror last minute, although it doesn't look aggressive, because of the speed and the overspeed I was carrying, you can see at this point there's a gap. He sees me, and you can see there's that gap on the inside. If you watch his steering wheel, you'll see moves over to the left last minute, and then it didn't look that bad in the moment, but when you're traveling and had the momentum I had, the overspeed, it made it really, really hard to react. So you can see there's a gap. He sees me, does a little dig with the steering wheel, and
Limitless.
yeah. So yeah, my race was over then. I stayed out just in case there was a safety car. Safety car didn't come. My honest thoughts are, it's a really difficult one. It probably is leaning towards a racing incident. I put it in the stewards regardless because I just wanted to see what their perspective was. And if you watch my stream at the time, I did think it was my fault, and I do think most of the fault is with myself. I think it's something I could have just backed out and avoided. I think the issue was that I expected Schumacher to go around the outside and stay much further to the right or actually get past him. So when I moved to the right to avoid backfall, I thought there would be a lot more room. Turns out there wasn't. But also because of the overspeed I had, the momentum I had, by the time backfall moved over to the left, it made it really, really hard to react. And I think the issue I had with him is that he said he didn't change his line at all during that straight. You can very clearly see there was a gap to his left. If he just maintained that line, or if he just defended that inside the whole time, I don't think I would have had an issue. But once he saw me in the mirrors, you could see he does make that quite aggressive change of direction to the left. And even though I wasn't directly alongside him, because of the overspeed I had, it made it really, really hard to react to. And then I couldn't see where Schumacher was in time. There's so many things happening in the moment. So I think it would have been harsh if he had a penalty. But the stewards decided that there was no conduct of driving from him at all. So he didn't even get a warning, didn't even get a penalty point. So I was a little bit disappointed about the outcome. I think he at least deserved the warning, because I think he did have somewhat blame in that as well, even though I think it's probably more on myself. But I'm really interested to hear what you think from an outside perspective. Please let me know your thoughts on that. And yeah, you saw for the championship standings, that makes things quite difficult now. So we have got to have a pretty flawless end to the season. We have China tomorrow, live stream at 7 PM, so join me for that if you are available. Thank you so much, and I will catch you very, very soon. Peace.